Hi, we are Sober Connections. I'm one of your hosts, J.R. Wolf.
And I'm Jesse Mitchell.
Yeah, we're here to explore our sober journey together. And today we have a special guest, Pete Hutchins. Yeah. Everybody, let's hear it, Pete Hutchins. You know, he's also an impresario of sorts around town for his work at Pete's Thing, curating all of the music.
I didn't know what impresario.
Yeah, well, curator of music.
Okay.
I actually didn't know what impresario was either. I'm glad that you said that.
I will put that on my business card.
Impresario extraordinaire.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you've had two Pete's Things so far,
That
right?
is correct.
So the third one's coming up this year. We can expect.
I guess I'm going to have a third one. I'm hoping to have it over at Pisgah Brewery this year because it's going to be a lot more since the Outpost is no longer with us.
Right.
Yeah.
Because of Hurricane Helene.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Da-da-da-da. Yes.
Glad to be here today, everybody. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's get started.
All right. Thanks.
Bam.
Now, a couple of ground rules we want to go over first. So we use the ACEs questionnaire, which is a 10-question questionnaire that was designed by the CDC and Kaiser Permanente, which is a very large insurance agency back in the early 90s. And what they looked at was what caused health issues later on in life. And what they found was that the higher the ACEs score, the more likely someone was to have some pretty serious health issues later on. And a score of 3 or higher on the ACEs questionnaire is a significant score. So anything over 3 is significant.
That's what I was wondering what that would be. 3 or more would be.
3 or more. And
what's
then,
the average on, if you have any results, can you not make up a number, but like.
So far, we have an average for our guests.
Oh, what do you have an average?
Yeah.
What's your guest average?
So I would say it's probably a 5 or a 6 if we it's a 5 if we go with our 2 guests, but then if we include us, it's probably around a 7.
Yeah, I would say average is 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
And then what we are interested in is finding people's stories and what they feel the link is between their ACEs score, their significant indicators, and then how they feel like it impacted their use, possible addiction. I'm not saying anyone is addicted. That is up to whoever we're talking to and whether or not they feel that way.
Okay.
But yeah, and so what those contributing factors
Okay,
were.
that's a
What about like the average number of like, is there one for like a big, how they do a big scan of like 100 people for Family Feud or 1,000 people for your stock exchange?
That's a good question, man.
Do you have like
We'll figure that out.
of like a good one for your next? That'd be good for maybe like the average person has so and so.
We'll put those stats on the
Put the like the little ticker. If you could have a ticker on the bottom, like
Here's
updated,
reality.
like up reality,
Well,
in real time
and
question.
Again, this is for
maybe
the
ticker would
people
be here
that have
more.
taken the questionnaire.
Yeah.
So not everybody takes the questionnaire, and you
Good
tend
point.
to be in a certain circumstance if you're taking it.
If
which
you're taking
to
the
me,
questionnaire, then you probably are.
it means that you're dealing with some sort of mental health issue, probably,
Correct.
or some serious, just regular health issues.
Okay.
And so to me, that would probably sway data more towards the higher side
Because
instead of like if everybody was
everyone
being.
took everyone. That's a good question. All right.
So you had a chance to take a look at the questionnaire. Did
That is
anything pop out? Was there any one of them where you're like, yeah, I want.
I
that
think
reminds
it
me
would
of
be.
something.
I should have brought up the questionnaire with you. You should be like. This is where you'd be like. Whoosh. I think the one that really stood out would probably be like the household one, not like the Not
Do you want
being-
us to read them to you? We have them over here on
Sure.
this.
Yeah. Why don't you read and I can answer? I think it would be like the.
Well, the first one's about having enough to eat. That's a.
I was
poverty
definitely.
one.
It was not. I was not in the poverty. I was very
Okay,
well
yeah.
fed. My parents took care of me. We did all that. Had a lot of mac and cheese and cube steak. But
The
yeah.
house thing you're saying.
I
Like,
like
people
the, like,
swear at you.
Yeah, I think maybe like the not beaten one, but maybe
I got 2 here for you. So
sure,
here's
maybe
2.
like the negative feeling ones, but not wasn't much. But those are the only ones really that.
Did your parent or adult in your home ever swear at you, insult you, put you down? Or did a parent or adult in your home ever hit, beat, kick, or physically hurt you in any way?
I would say a little bit of combination of those 2 things, but nothing like I read about.
Sure.
Like I mean, I'm a very mild. I'd be low on your. I would skew your results and push those results lower.
Yeah. So what?
If
Out
you
of
guys
the
have
10,
a-
which one? Like, what did you score?
Yeah, did you have a score?
1 to 3
1 to 3, depending on
Ish.
How you define it?
how you define it, but
Yeah.
I think defining it based on how I parent now is probably like would be pushing that to 2s and 3s. You know,
So with that
like
in
you know what I
mind-
mean. Like I'm not yelling. I don't yell, even though I get told I yell for in various places. I do
Man,
yell.
I yell.
I know. Anyways, or you get mad easy. But I think that's because I probably got yelled at when I was a kid.
Right.
But I wasn't. I got beaten, but like just like once with the belt,
Mm-hmm.
and that didn't
Well,
learn your lesson,
and-
or ate soap twice.
The other thing, the
You know,
other
but
thing
that's how
about
that
these-
generation was. I was raised. You know, I
Right.
don't know, but wasn't.
When it comes to what you feel like is significant on the indicators, it's kind of like trauma, right? And so we can all go through the same situation, and some of us end up being traumatized and some of us don't. So there's a lot of subjectivity to it.
Correct.
So if you feel like it was one of your indicators, then the likelihood is that it's significant just for you and what your perception was and all of those things that kind of created that equation and in that space and time. So what I'm hearing you say is like, depending on how other people might score it, it's possible it could be up to 3. Depending on how I score it, I'm looking at like between 1 and 3. You know,
Correct.
I would say like that way. Yeah, I would think that would be a good way to look at it.
Sure.
So it was the beater physically, and then what was your third one? There was a third you said. Was it did your parents divorce?
My parents were separated. They got separated. I would say that would be kind of like the another one-ish of it, but they didn't separate until like. I remember exactly. It turned like a certain age. I got a car. My parents went through the separation of like, my mom lost her job, and then after my mom lost her job, she went through a lot of jobs. And when she went through a lot of jobs, I was like, oh, this shit's getting rough around the house.
Mm.
And then as soon as I went off to college, she moved for a job, and then she never moved back.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Really synchronized. I think it was a synchronized note my dad sent me, which was like a synchronized note because I got the note and my brother got the note, which lives in a different state, and my other brother got the note, which lives in a different state. And I think we all got the note pretty close to the same day. Like he mailed one like a couple days earlier to my brother in Colorado, which is like, anyways. That's my belief. Maybe that's my first conspiracy theory. But
Okay.
got a note that says, "Hey, we're no longer we're divorced. Blah blah blah. Happy birthday. Here's some birthday money." And then
Kind of like the writing behind the wall was, "We are sticking together until the kids are out of the house."
yes.
And
I
you're
think
out.
I left. I think I left in August, and the letter came in October.
And so no one in your house had a problem with drinking then either? That was number 4. Or drugs?
Not really. No, I don't think my dad. I would see my dad. My dad quit drinking soon before when my brother started drinking. That's when my dad stopped drinking. Like he would have parties and stuff like that, but then he kind of cut the alcohol out of the house for a little bit. But he still had it.
So you were saying that it's like dad stopped drinking around the time that brother.
Yeah, well, I
started
think
drinking.
my thing I noticed is like I think my dad sold the Corvette we had right before my brother got his driver's license, which was probably very smart of him. I don't know if that was a relation. Like I think that he just said it was going to be cheaper insurance or something like that. We believed him. Believed a lot of things he told us. I still believe him.
Actually,
I don't think
I'm fairly sure that would be way cheaper.
Yeah, I think we're going to
insurance
sell
for
the
a
car
Corvette?
before the
Ooh.
even with the kids. So that was my oldest brother, and then I have a middle brother or older brother, and then I'm the youngest. So I don't know what led that.
How many years apart between you and the other?
Oldest brother Sean is about 5 years, and Tim is like 2, 3-ish. You know, because he's in February, and my brother's in March.
Okay.
So sometimes it's like, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Fluctuates a little bit because that's how
Depending on
age
the time of the year.
ish.
Yeah, I got one of those.
Kind
too.
of, yeah. So yeah, but I think then my dad started, like, he stopped drinking, because he'd have parties and stuff when we were kids. I remember, like, he would have poker parties, and all his friends would come over and play poker in the back room and all that, and smoke cigarettes, even though he didn't smoke cigarettes, but
But
and then he would like. But I never saw my parents get drunk or anything like that.
That's what my question was. I was wondering if he stopped drinking. You were saying it had to do with the Corvette, but did he stop drinking because he saw that your brother was starting to drink and he didn't want to be a bad example?
No, actually, why? I think he just I don't know. That's a good question. I never asked him. I
Okay.
never really. Probably the reason, maybe one of the reasons why I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like
wonder.
why you stopped. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna try it. But yeah,
Is your dad still alive?
yeah, he's still alive.
Okay.
But now he doesn't drink. He
Just, I think once I definitely probably doesn't drink because all his kids drank or drank.
drank.
Drink, and drunk. He's
Drank,
probably
drank
seen
it.
them
There
in
it is.
all the
That's-
formations of that word. Drinking, drunk, dranked, and all the other versions he's seen. So I haven't seen him with a beer ever. I mean, really.
So what was your first introduction to alcohol? When did you first taste it?
I would say beer, or probably high school graduation-ish time.
Mm-hmm.
I would think. That's a good question.
You
High
waited
school.
all the way until graduation. Wow.
Ish, like, I think it
That
was
year.
like your senior year kind of thing. I think that would be the first taste of beer, and then I think one of my first earlier ones was trying to I think we took like gin to an REM concert. Oh no, it's probably before that because there was this dude named Bob Peters. Boy, that was a problem. I went to a concert with I think we went to REM concerts like in 88 or 89, and we took like gin and put like gummy bears.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that it would like absorb the booze, which I don't think it really did because a gummy bear isn't really absorbent.
All it's doing is dying the liquid.
It might make the gin taste better.
Back. I think now I'm gonna put more of a connect. I really haven't thought about this. I thought about a few things you guys were gonna ask me, but I think it was going to these couple concerts at the very beginning, like in 87 and 88. My parents let me go to concerts. Like, I was really, really fortunate to go to concerts when I was a kid. And, like, when I would say I was a kid in 86, 87, 88, that's like high school. But lived in Chicago, so I going to see Paul Simon or The Who or the Rolling Stones or, like, REM. I think REM we would drive ourselves, or one of us would drive and the other guy wouldn't drive. But I'm gonna say one of those times I would be doing like beer a little bit, but hard liquor, and trying to do hard liquor and like because
Trying to get a buzz.
You're
not
try it. I was
enjoying-
just trying it. It wasn't like gin or vodka. Whatever we started with was the worst, and just like people do this, and I don't know. Maybe that was the easiest that my buddy could take from his parents, or I don't know why. But he ended up drinking a lot more than I did. I did not. I mean, he really enjoyed it. I didn't really enjoy it I guess I enjoyed it because I kept on doing it, but not hard liquor.
Okay.
It was beer. I love beer.
Beer. When did you acquire that taste? Did that come later then? Because right out the gate, it sounds like you're not really
College.
enjoying it. You're just doing it. College, okay.
I would say
And then
college.
it turns into kegers and like
It
Weekend
was
Warrior.
college. It was really once I acquired the taste of good beer.
Right.
Like
Early 90s.
Newcastle.
Newcastle, yeah.
Like, getting
Was
a
that-
good beer was like, wow, this is really good.
Fat
And then-
Tire. It was Fat Tire for me.
Fat Tire,
That was
you
the
could
first
only
one.
for
Yeah,
Fat Tire.
was so good.
You know, you can blame it on going to shows. Like, that was the Fat Tire. I remember when you could only get Fat Tire until St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
You guys knew about that?
Well,
Like
I mean,
it-
I'm in Albuquerque, so we're getting it
well,
from
for the
Collins, so
Fort
it's-
Collins
yeah.
time, you could only get Fat Tire up until St. Louis because they would only distribute until New Belgium actually opened in Nashville. Or actually, no, it was after that. It was between that time, quite obviously. But there was a time where you would have to wait, or your buddy would go to St. Louis and pick 10 cases up, or my mom would bring me cases of beer from Bell's Bell's Michigan Kalamazoo. Great beer. Try it. Don't try it. It's just kidding. That was the wrong. Don't try that one from home.
Well, and so then.
But she would bring me beer, and it would be like really good beer, like Bell's Porter, or you'd bring like someone would bring you like something you couldn't buy at the grocery store, and you're like, this is good.
Right.
But
this
I
is
never
good
drank
stuff.
like Miller Lite. And
I'm hearing like beer, and beer was good, and like once I discovered good beer, it was kind of on, which is a little different than some of the other conversations that we've had with people. You know, you said your score was between 1 and 3. Now, do you feel like those indicators that you did score on had an impact, or was the relationship more like, I tried this, I really like it, this is a thing that is like just because it tastes good?
I think there's not much relation to the score sheet. I think I would be an anomaly or whatever that other Quetzal is, or that rare thing that I don't think it was caused because of those. I don't think I do. I know, but I think I see the connection where people have probably done it because of
Yeah.
Yeah, more
A,
of
B, C, or
escapism type.
one through 6, 1 through 7, or whatever it is. I was not. I don't put the blame on that.
Yeah, no.
I would put the
understood.
blame on just the casualty I had of it, and
And I don't know that it's an anomaly. I
no,
really don't, but I do
anomaly,
think-
but like what
yeah.
like maybe I should have scored higher. I don't. Not you should have scored higher. Like you know what I mean?
Why didn't
Like
score higher. Why didn't I?
I
Have
don't
more
know. Like
horrible
yeah,
shit?
like I don't know. Not why I score higher, or maybe that would be the reasons why, or something. You know what I mean? Like you don't like. What is the reason why? I'm like I don't know.
So what is your current use now? What do you do? How and yeah,
Do not
talk to us.
talk to you. I do not drink any beer. Do not drink any
Okay.
alcohol whatsoever. Mind blowing.
For how long? It's mind blowing because of how much you liked
Because
it.
of how much I liked it
I
and how
see.
much I did of it. As I'm wearing a Pizza Company t-shirt.
Yeah.
Happy holidays. What was the question?
We got to get them sponsor.
Yeah,
Pizza
sponsor,
company.
yeah.
Pizza company.
Pizza Company. Yeah.
Pizzas.
Pizzas. The question was, I forgot what it was. What was the question?
I don't know.
Well, no. So you had asked like how long have
Oh,
you
yeah,
stopped?
what's your state?
Like and what
Oh,
led
I
to
was-
that?
yeah,
Like
that's
why
right.
why
Oh.
did you stop?
I've almost in this year at the end of this month. I could do this. I can do some math. Hold on, I'm gonna do some basic math. And what's today's date?
No one knows. No.
No one knows today's
December
date.
8th.
December 8th. I am like 17. What would that be? 17? Yeah.
Months?
No, 17. Almost 6 years. At the end of this month, I was doing the math of 31 minus 8, which would be 20, no, 21, 23.
Okay.
23 days from 6 years of not drinking any alcohol.
I didn't realize it had been that long. And
That's the best part about it, because a lot of people still offer me drinks now when I still go out.
yeah, like it's not
Like just the other day, I had a conversation with somebody, and I probably told them who they have been drinking 3 or 4 times, no thank you. And then they're like, oh, really? Not tonight? And I was like, let me do some math, like right over their head. I'm not counting the days, but I do know a friend who is like on a day 1,025 now or something like that. I do know a friend who is 8 years sober
Wow.
as well.
And I think it just depends on like where you're at, what your story is, what your reason is, right? And so, but then back
To the reason why.
Yeah,
What caused the reason to stop? One, to see if I could.
fair.
I didn't tell a single person, nobody, and I just tried it. And then I was like, this is really interesting. And then I still went out to see concerts. I would say no thanks. Friends were mind blown. What do you mean? How long are you going to do it? You can't do it. I'm like,
Did you get a lot of you can'ts?
did I get a lot of you can't? I got a lot of holy shit. What?
Right.
Like I got more than that. I had a friend who said, "Well, I'm gonna do it too." Then I'm like, let's do it. And then he was going through cancer, so he couldn't. He was already like, what was I gonna like? Not he wasn't already behind, or he had an easier reason. Not an easier. No, it's a terrible reason. That's a terrible thing to say. It's not an easier reason because he had cancer.
He had a catastrophic event.
He had a catastrophic. He had a catastrophic event. Yeah, so led him to that. So sorry about that.
That's what I kept asking you when I
Like-
first found out about you not drinking. I was like, well, what happened? Because I felt like there needed to be some like supernova event.
There
to
wasn't
stop
a
it.
supernova like the last. There weren't supernova events. Maybe there were events that probably should have probably I should have stopped like a long time ago. Or there were but I wasn't enforced by the law. I wasn't. So back to it. I just started trying it. So after a couple days, couple weeks, my wife finally said, I didn't even tell my wife. I'm like, I'm not going to tell anybody because I don't want to tell anybody because not that I'm going to be a failure because I'm not going to be a failure because I'm going to try this. I'm just going to try this. I didn't want the extra pressure. Oh, why are you not drinking? Why are you not drinking?
I
So
relate. I did the same thing because I was worried that if I put the pressure on,
if you tell somebody, so after about 3 weeks, she says, I've noticed that you haven't had any beers lately. That you haven't had any beers lately. And I was like, oh, sweetie, it's been like 3 weeks. And she was like, holy shit.
Was
Really?
she proud of you?
She was really proud. She's like,
Yeah.
what are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to try
Okay.
some.
Better.
Yeah, this is great.
Did you enjoy it out the gate? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was totally fine. I was like, I think the smell part of it is like I've talked to some other friends who have gone through the process as well, but I don't. That's not the question. It was easier. It was a lot easier than I thought.
Can I dig for just a second though?
Mm-hmm.
So you said a couple things, and again, you don't have to talk about anything you
sure.
don't want to.
Sure.
But I heard you say, I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to put the pressure on. And I wanted to see if I could. Which suggests that there was a part of you that was afraid. That you wouldn't be able to... And then you said there were some other indicators where I probably should have listened. Do you mind if we talk?
Oh yeah, totally. I could go into those. Probably should have listened. We'll go with that one first. There were some times when I was drinking that I had a hard time coming home a couple times. Or I would get a ride home and my wife would say, how'd you get home? And I'd be like, how did I get home? Those were embarrassing.
Gotcha.
Like in that situation.
and
Or
did you feel judgment from her in those times?
Was I judged by her?
Yeah. Did you feel judged by her? I mean,
Yeah, I felt judged. I felt I let her down.
Okay,
Let
okay.
myself down.
No,
I'm like,
that's-
oh shit, that again, you know.
Mm.
But I wasn't like a mean drinker or like angry. I was just a happy guy who would be like having a good old
People
time.
like you.
People
like being around you.
Yeah, they're like, yeah. I would have people come up and be like, oh, it was so great talking to you last night. I'm like, did I?
Yeah.
And now just refresh, like when we like it was like after that at the end of the night, I was like, ooh, so sorry, like so sorry, you know. That's a bonus of not drinking the last couple hours of the night or memorable, and I can walk home or drive home, thank goodness.
Did you
One
ever
time
have
after I quit drinking, I walked home out of habit only to realize that my car was still downtown. And I was like, shit. Damn it. So I waited till the next day to pick it up. And I did it twice actually, sorry. And the second time I got to my street before I realized, I was like, shit. And at that point it was early enough and I walked back downtown and got it. So that there was, I think that was part of it. There were some other events other nights that I was like, ooh, that was probably too much. But I never got in trouble. I got in trouble like in college for drinking and stuff like that, like a ticket. But it was my buddies who were driving. I was never the driver.
Gotcha.
I did have to call my parents a couple times because I did get in trouble because I was, arrested because I was in the car. But I never would drink and drive. I would never get drunk and drive. I would drink and drive, but I wouldn't be wasted and drive. A couple times, like I hid my car keys from myself, and then I couldn't find them, and then I had to call my wife to have her come pick me up, and be like, she's like, "Where are the car keys?" And remember the story of like they can't, if your keys aren't in your possession, then you can't be drinking and driving. Have you ever remember anything?
Yeah,
like
that's
that?
why they take
Remember, like
keys.
you take
Yeah.
like you put your keys in the trunk or something
Sure.
like that. Well, I hid them in the car, and I could not find those freaking things when I sobered up to drive home.
Shows some self-awareness too, man. It's like you
Keeping
knew
yourself.
that. Yeah.
So I knew, like,
that's-
like some nights I knew for a fact, or some nights I knew I was going to drink, so I wouldn't even drive the car. I would just walk home. I'd live in a convenient place to go out,
Yeah,
like
you
a
do.
really, really convenient place to go out. So I think that would I mean, there's probably individual things of other nights that I could talk about, but I could tell some stories of like,
Well, and-
holy shit, you did that. You know what I mean? But I don't know if that's...
What I do want to say though is that you have
Yeah.
been such inspiration to to myself, but also to another guest that we had here. Susie was one of our guests. She mentioned what inspiration you were, and for me, seeing you do it. That's why I thought there had to be a catastrophic event, because for me, I needed a catastrophic event, because I was like, there's no way I could do what he's doing. And so when we went, and you said, hey, let's go golfing. We go golfing, and I'm like gonna be hanging out with Pete, so I just say, well, I'm not gonna drink. This is basically Susie's story too. She's just like, I'm just not gonna drink because I'm with Pete. So I go and play golf, and it turns out I'm actually a pretty good golfer. I have no idea.
No, that's cool. That's great. Well, thank you for that. I'm glad that it was. I think I just knowing that you can do it without alcohol, but alcohol is just such a easy thing for so many people to get their hands on, and it's so accepted.
Yeah.
It's so
It's
accepted.
very
and-
accepted, and I mean,
it's
there
just-
are some good things about it.
Oh yeah, there's some good things. There are some many great times about it, great things about it.
Mhm.
I think also going back to what you asked earlier about me being a failure and not letting people. I think it wasn't like I didn't want the pressure of someone like, oh, you couldn't have done it. Like I don't, and I never did it prior to that time. Like 20, I guess that would be New Year's Day of 2019, because it was 19 and COVID was 20, because I was sober for a year before that. But not telling somebody or like pressure of like people doing it, I just would do it, and people would still be like, "What? I saw you at the bar with us. You were there until you were drinking." I was like, "No, I wasn't." Like people still.
But you are so social.
I was social, but I was at the bar. I would still go to the bar and hang out with my buddy who was a bartender, and they're like, "But Pete was here for 2 hours," and he was like, "Yeah." But like, is he? And they're like, no. And then people are like, "You sneaking it?" And I'm like, no. Like, I had friends asking me if I was sneaking beer on the side. I'm like, why would I?
Now, I do wonder, and it's just a question that I will pose. Both, I'm a 7, he's a 9 on our.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. And then for people, I do wonder then for people that go through some more large amounts of trauma in their childhood, if it's going to be more common that we find that they need that catastrophic event.
Oh, right.
Like the escapism that they're looking for compared to what you did. You found a taste and it was lovely.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, I don't think I bet you that you'll find probably some other connections. Like hopefully your next guest that we mentioned about, maybe she'll, who knows.
Right.
But anyways, yeah.
What about I'm so fascinated by this whole idea of people, their reaction to you not drinking, and the fact that they think that you're hiding it, and I think it's because you're so social, right? And you don't need the social lubricant. Like what? That there's no way he could be there for 2 hours around all of us drinking and have a good time if he's not drinking. Yeah.
I think it's just because I would. Oh my goodness, it's so funny because maybe I was going because I liked the smell of it, I liked the vibe of it, I liked the camaraderie, I liked watching random sports on TV. Like
the beer with the sports.
The beer with the sports. Yeah. You're like, oh my goodness, but like, yeah. I do drink some non-alcoholic beers now. Like I do know, like I was at the salvage station and I drank like a Beck's Zero or Heineken Zero, and I was like, so sorry. I didn't like Beck's or Heineken when I was drinking, so I don't think.
Like, why?
Still
Still, no, I'm sorry, green bottle beer people, but skunk beer is still skunk beer. But no, like there probably was like, back to what you said. Was there a catastrophic event? There probably was some events where I was like, I should stop drinking, and I never did. Not catastrophic. There were some events where I definitely should have stopped drinking, and I like eased
But like
back.
warning signs.
Yeah, there were some warning
Yeah.
signs, but I never really cued into them. And then I was like, oh, I should just try this out and check this out. And I think, I just tried it out. I think was once I realized like, oh, this is gonna, if I don't get this shit together, it's gonna really impact my family. Is the big thing. I would say it's gonna impact my family first, and if I can get this under control, then I'll be good to go. Not saying good to go. Life will be better.
And
life
not
is better.
impacted by this.
Correct.
Plenty of other shit.
There's some other shit that could happen, whatever, yeah. But by this.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
being able to do it and still go out is really enjoyable. I think shit's so expensive now too. The price of it's gone through the
You're
roof.
Not wrong.
So you mentioned like after 3 weeks, your wife notices you're not
Oh, yeah,
drinking.
yeah.
How about like how did you start feeling? How did the momentum go? How did it turn into 6 years? Did it
How
feel
did it-
good?
I think I'm gonna try this until March till we go on we're going somewhere, and I'm like, I'm just gonna still go with these, we're gonna go out. And then March turned into, I wonder if I can go through Merle Fest without drinking.
Challenges.
It was every, here comes Leaf. Oh, there's no way.
How's this gonna go?
Yeah. Leaf. Oh boy, we know those stories. So then there's Leaf, and then after there's Leaf, and like, there's the camping trip. After the camping trip, it was,
For our listeners, Leaf is a music festival here.
Yeah,
locally.
Merle
It happens
Fest.
twice a year.
Yeah, Merle Fest is a music festival that's alcohol free, but we
But
had some.
people have alcohol,
But there's a
yeah.
gate, there's a way in.
And it was
Yeah.
like, did that, like, if I get back into it, then those things that I'm worried about, they might come back. Like, did that play a
I
part?
know. I love drinking. I just love to drink. That's
Right.
I didn't have
Oh, so good.
my drinking problem was that I loved to drink.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That was
with
the
it.
problem. That was the problem. I
Yeah.
just love the drink.
Yeah.
When I started, I would just drink. Like that's just, you'd have to
Were
wait
you
till
able to
3.
stop when you wanted to stop? Or
Yeah, when I
was
went to
it-
bed.
But-
Yeah,
well,
like
and-
people.
and-
Yeah, like what do you mean? Like
Like, were
can
there
I?
times that where you were like, all right, I'm going to cut it off
I'm
at 3, and then you'd get it 12 in? Like,
No, I
it was
cut
12
off.
was
No,
the goal.
no, it wasn't 12 was the goal. There was never a goal. I do know people who drink who think like, I'm gonna drink 3 beers, 3 shots, and 1 thing of Jägermeister, and that's what I do. I'm like, no, I would just drink. Like
Yeah.
I just
No
like
parameters.
there were no people ask me like, how long's a growler last? Like I'm like
As
a
long as
night,
the growler
like
lasts.
4 beers. Is it good the next day? Didn't have that problem.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not good the next day because there's just like this much left in it, like, but I just like to drink. So there wouldn't be times where I'm like, I'm going to drink a couple beers and then we would go to a movie, but then I would just drink some more beers after that. It
So
wasn't
what-
like I'm going to have 2 beers today and that's it.
So what I don't understand
Okay.
though, you go to these places, you challenge yourself, and you make it. But did you have any cravings? Did you have any weak points, or did you have to go and talk to anybody? A lot of people in recovery, they need to have a meeting a day or check in with their sponsor. Were there any of those kinds of moments?
No, and
Yeah.
I'm really
That's
like,
amazing.
no, I'm really thankful that I just did it, and I was like, I go and check in with other people who are on the program and things like that.
Nice.
I've tried to give support to people who are going to try to quit
Yeah.
drinking, to my best ability. But no, I didn't go to a program. I just tried it, and it was me over me, and me won, or me's winning.
Yeah.
I don't like, but do I miss it? Yeah. Could I drink one? Yeah.
What keeps you from doing it?
I don't know. Maybe I couldn't drink just one. Maybe I'd have to have two.
Yeah.
But then maybe one night I can go out and get lit. Like my friends went to New Orleans. Like, you gonna drink? I'm like, that would be the perfect place to get drunk.
Do you think you would enjoy it now, though? What would that be like? I mean, if you had one.
I don't know. I have dreams of it.
Wow.
I have nightmares of it.
Dude,
Not dreams.
I
I have nightmares. I have nightmares.
I drink in my dreams all the time, and I wake up feeling guilty, and not even because it's not. I didn't.
But
Put,
it's like,
there's
how
no pressure on
you
me.
had
It was
the
like,
one where like, hey, that wasn't beer in there, but like someone else put beer in my drink. Like I'm like
no, I'm fully aware.
No,
You're making the choice. You're like, I'm dreaming, I'm drinking.
I drank last night in my dream.
Really, I know it's not for me. I've had a couple. There's been some situations where like, damn, it sure would be really. There were some school situations where I'm like, I probably should have a drink.
Right.
Like a parent being
Work,
irate. I mean,
Bosses.
bosses.
I've seen you.
I've seen places where, but I've also, been to the point where my boss has seen me intoxicated, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, oops, yeah, But I think that, that's what I don't know what I think all kinds of things, but.
Well, and so then two kind of thoughts. Like, one is that I hear there's this like juxtaposition where it's like, when I was drinking, I didn't have any goals. I didn't set anything for myself. I would drink until I would go to sleep, and I was cool with that. It was safe. And then there's this other side where it's like, but there were warning signs, and I knew that if I didn't quit, things that I didn't want to happen, specifically for my family, like, would probably happen. So you made the choice and you quit, right? And both those things sound kind of true in the same space at the same time, which would make it difficult to quit. You did.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now, when you said you support other people, like, one of the questions that we have when we wrap up interviews is like, what do you tell people? What insight would you give for someone that is kind of maybe in that space where it's like, if I don't get a handle on this, it's going to cause some issues?
Yeah, someone's struggling.
The person who's really struggling is to get help, whichever way that is. If that is to get help, if you are struggling, whatever that resource is that you are needing, to ask for help. If you need a partner, if your partner is going to help you, I think also to try to do those things that you would normally do with drinking. Don't eliminate those things. Would be the thing, like keep going to see music, or keep going to golfing, or keep trying to do those things. You can substitute with non-alcoholic beverages or something like that. There's a lot of mocktails now people are, you can substitute it. People, heck, put it in a red cup so people think you are drinking. Order a drink from the bar and not, don't do that because that's expensive. But I think I would recommend get help, whatever you could. If you do need help, go get What I say to people is they can call me anytime. I do know someone who I check in with, and you got to figure out what's the triggering thing that makes you want to drink. Or what would make you want to drink again? What's that trigger gonna be?
And you were pretty insightful because you came up with a couple for yourself, like the angry parent thing.
Oh my goodness, I remember that thing so
work
vividly.
stuff.
Yeah.
Work stuff. But I remember that grandparent very vividly. And when after that parent walked out of there, I turned to my boss and said, "That person's not going to make me drink." And I was like, "Holy shit!" And that was like,
because it's disrespect. What is
I
it
got
exactly
yelled
about
at.
that person?
I was yelled at. I've only been yelled at like by 8 people in my life.
Oh.
Can I bring up a connection?
Oh, please.
Connections.
Because that was one of your indicators that you had said early childhood. I didn't have a lot, but I definitely had.
But I was like that person just talked to me like And I think it was like, no, I don't. Yeah, maybe that would be a connector there. But whatever triggers you to like want, like a friend of mine, he would like when he hears someone else open a can, he has to get off the phone with them like that wants him to drink, you know. So I'm like, oh shit, that's like, whoa, that's like, I don't think I had like, you know, I say try to figure one out, but I don't know what mine would be like to make it. It's not that angry parent who's yelling at me or, you know, I don't know. Like there's the reasons why I probably would want to drink because like, you know, but then you're gonna let yourself down, and then will one lead to more? Probably.
That's
I don't.
reason enough.
I don't need to try right now. I don't think maybe when I would say when I turned 50, but I already done that one. So like I don't know, like
You know, when I quit and I got past the cravings and all that stuff, I was so proud of myself, and I
Yeah.
felt so good. I wanted to share that with everybody, right? And
Yeah.
I tried to reach out to Jesse, and we started this whole thing. But it seems like people, when I tell people about it, or about being sober, or about our podcast, they'll say, "Well, I don't have a problem with alcohol. Like, if somebody is still drinking, they don't think they need to quit. What do you think are some indicators of like, you know what? It's like it's just not worth it. Do you think that there's any indicators that people should look out for if they don't think I don't have a problem? Because I also said,
I guess if you start, well, A, if you're the big one, if you start can't remember your night before, then A,
yeah,
probably had too much.
blackouts. Yeah.
Blackouts or fade outs or last little bit outs, you know, blackout would be totally like, I guess they're all like those, like when the last little bit of the night gets fuzzy, then probably cut back a little bit. If it's getting in the way of your job, for sure cut back. If your spouse is asking you to cut back, try hard. I guess if the law tells you, you better do that, you know, because that's just like. But I think once you get those little signs, or I'd say, yeah, once you start fading out at the end of the night and you can't remember, then you should cut back.
Right.
You know, but while you're asking that question, it made me wonder about a different trigger thing. But I'll come back to that.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell
No,
us.
I don't remember what
okay.
the question was. No, I should have wrote it down on like a little piece of paper. I should have been like,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
You know, we covered a lot. Is there anything else that you want to chat about, like when it comes to alcohol? Actually, I do.
The resiliency piece.
Yeah, right. When it comes to like, you know, what we want to do, and I think you just looked at the ACEs questionnaire. We want to add in the resiliency questionnaire. It's a little longer, but I think where do you, and this is kind of cheesy, but where do you think your strength comes from? Because it's not been based on your description, it's not been a horrible process. You made the choice. You're not.
I know, that's what I think.
So where does your strength in that come from?
I think the strength in knowing where it's come from, that it's making it easier on my wife and our relationship, and her knowing that it's just easier. And I think for my daughter as well. I think once she realized like, oh, daddy was drunk or something like that, that kind of like, that was part of the original inspiration of like it, because I would go out all the time and she would come with, and then I'd be like, I don't need to do this, but we can still go to these places. That would be the reason. That's the reason why. Yeah. I think that is the reason why, because you know she's at that age. She's 15 now. Is she 15? Yeah. Crazy. You know, it's just crazy, but it's that, you know, maybe that'd be the reason why. The resilience is because it's better off for me as a person, and I guess the people around me are still like me. So yeah.
And any thing from childhood that you feel like helped kind of build that into you?
I guess knowing that, built into me. My parents always gave me the confidence to try to do stuff new. I went to high school not knowing many people. I went to college not knowing many people. Coming to North Carolina, I moved here by myself. Like, didn't know a single person. My parents tell me that they would believe in me, whatever I did. I think that would be like, oh, I can believe in myself, kind of thing like that. I would say would be part of it. Maybe also like when probably why I don't do it anymore, because I can see people like, oh, that person, I can see it in other people now. I can,
The effects of the alcohol.
yeah, I can see like at what all depends on what time I go out in the night. You're like, oh, or "Oop, I'm late to the party, but it's no big deal. It's like, but there's sometimes you're like, oh shit, that person isn't gonna make it, you
No.
know, like, and that was probably me some of those nights, and where my friends were like, oh shit, or you know, or many a night, not many a night. Sure, we can call. I don't know what many is, but because it does have a number. There's been several nights where my friends have called and, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I'm fine, thank you for checking.
Because
Like,
of the
did
way
you
they
make
saw
it?
Yeah.
What they're like, oh, you see, you next thing you know, you're going home,
yeah.
and you said you're going home. And the show was just, you know, like, oh, you know, like, ooh, yeah. But I would walk home because I knew it was time for me to go home before it got really bad. But
And
then it
now,
would take me a long time to get home.
and now you can go to multiple shows. I mean,
Now
it's like
it
you
is
have a
good.
superpower. Go to one show.
Yeah,
you're still
now,
sober,
yeah,
go
but
to
it's
the
great
next
because
show.
I can stay up a lot.
It's been quite interesting to talk to everybody, and your name came up in one of our other interviews as
Well, that's
somebody
great.
who inspired us.
I would
Yeah,
hope
so
that
you
I
are an
could find
inspiration.
you some other, not candidates, but I would find you some other people that you can interview, or they're probably
I believe the word is victims. Innocent victims.
victim of the. No, I do not feel victimized. I don't know if that would be a word or not, but I don't feel. I enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, this is
Yeah.
why we do it, is for the connections, you know,
Mm-hmm.
sober connections, and it's exactly what you were talking about, that your advice to everybody else was to not stop all of your things, to keep making those connections, to keep
Yeah.
going out, and
I think that would be the big thing. Keep doing what you're trying to do. And
Yeah.
I think it also goes back to people who were like you told my friend, like, you sure he wasn't drinking? And then the bartender would be like, no, he wasn't drinking. Are you sure? Like, you know that guy's drinking. If he's asking the other guy if I was drinking, you know, like, what do you, like? So I think that's pretty funny. I think of that often, of that situation of, are you sure you're not drinking? I'm like, how much have you been drinking if you know, if you think I'm sneaking my drink, you know, like that.